afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the SB Benin-City section Energy Talks podcast. This is our very first episode, and today we'll be exploring the topic Transgenerational Workplace. My name is Damilola Adisa, and with me is...
Hi everyone, I'm Godspar, and just like we promised, we have a host of top professionals here today that will be doing justice to this topic. And to my immediate right, I have Mr. Gordon Uzo. Also to my left, I have Rama Dauda
and Hassan.
Al-Hassan, sorry, stand corrected. Then just sitting close to her, we have the person of Mr. Olanikon Abiola. And the very beautiful lady sitting close to him is no other but Asabe Wanade. So welcome everyone, and we hope you have a nice time with us today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining us today. So to start off the conversation today, we'd like to just go over the topic, transgenerational workplace. Mr. Uzo, what does the topic mean for you? What do you understand by a transgenerational workplace?
Okay, thank you so much. Talking about transgenerational workplace, in a simple language and definition, we are looking at people that have different age groups, born at different times, gender difference is there, people that grew up in different communities, but now we are working together. We all are coming together for a common purpose. Okay, so we have them. We are born between that we call when we look at the what do you call it now? The different groups. We have the traditionalists. You have the baby boomers. You have Generation X.
Yes.
You have the millennials, and then the Gen Z. And each of these groups, they have their peculiarities. They have their way of doing things. They have their behavioral patterns. They were attended different schools, but now in the workplace, we all are together pursuing a common purpose. Okay, and so there's need for harmony for us all to understand ourselves so that we'll be able to work effectively.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, I think one thing we took note of us, it's the emphasis on common purpose and peculiarity. So let me just drift over to Asabe, being like a union person, and the emphasis is on common purpose and harmonization. How do you think this transgenerational workplace comes into play, especially when you're looking at working for the common purpose?
So what I think about transgenerational workplace, it comprises of people are cut across several generations. Like we have 5 generations now, from the traditionalists to the baby boomers, the millennials, the Gen X, and the Gen Zs. So these are people with different communication styles, different perspectives, and different work purpose. But in the workplace, we don't see this as a disadvantage in the workplace. When it is harnessed completely with respect and care, each of these disadvantages turns out to be a goal. Each of these disadvantages turns out to be something that can bring about creativity, innovation, and also employee satisfaction.
Thank you very much, Asabe. So, Dami.
Yes. So, Mr. Abiola, how would you say the presence of multiple generations has fostered collaboration in any field in your experience?
Okay, thank you. First of all, I'd like to congratulate the SB for this very good initiative. And then, having this good panel on this maiden edition, I think is a great honor, for me, and I'm happy to be here. So where I sit, before I started, I was talking to Asabe. I believe that I sit in between what you call the old and the young, because of my background and also in terms of that generation that I belong to. Again, there are different vintages and what they stand for. If you look at the older generation, they're very more about task-oriented, very detailed, and they were coming from maybe most people, my father generation, like I always tell him, are probably the first set of people to come out of the village, and do something great with themselves. Unlike many of us who grew up watching TV starting at 4 o'clock, today you have people who watch TV all time around. So again, it changes the way people look at it. But irrespective of that, what is critical is that if you look at NEPL today, you can group NEPL into three major categories. You have people who are just ahead of the millennials, you have a core of millennials, and then you have the late millennials and maybe a bit of Generation Z. And the upbringing or the things they see and how they see the world is different. But every vintage has one thing or the other that you can pick from it. And I like the attitude of collaboration, risk taking, and everything that you see within the younger folks. And this event also is also, if you looked at NMBC a few years ago, you probably not find this happening, But again, today there's more openness around conversations and all that. The only other challenge, and like I see, is that crucial conversations are very difficult when you talk about older generations. I mean, looking at things pointedly and without any emotions. For people who belong to my age group, it's a balance of the two, because we're told not to speak up growing up, but we always wanted to speak. And now that we are getting into ourselves, we're beginning to speak and wanting to assert ourselves. And that has serious value for a company like NEPL. So from your question, what I see in NEPL today is that there's more openness, there's more spirit of collaboration, there's more attitude towards doing. And that is beginning to have positive impact on the way, the results that we're getting. And the only challenge that we don't want to do is that we don't substitute talk for work, and that's one of the challenge that I see amidst most of us younger folks. There's a lot of talk, but whatever it is, there starts to be deep work for great results to happen. But a fusion of these different vintages is beginning to change the way we do things. We see more use of technology, and adoption is also getting very high. And we're looking for simpler, faster, and more innovative ways of getting things done. And then data is becoming part of the bedrock of what we do, so that it's not a question of guesswork or gut feeling of one person. So everybody can see it, everybody can query it, and make a decision. And I think that has elevated the kind of work that we do and the results. So from a transgenerational perspective, I think NEPL stands at a good place, and the results going forward and now is outstanding. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I think the next question will be for you, Rama. Now, when Mr. Abiola was actually talked about the dynamics of interacting between these generations. So, being a young professional and with your work experience here in NEPL,
Yes.
and what other challenges have you personally experienced?
Well, as a young professional, the primary challenges I've experienced is communication with the diverse culture and generations, mostly because we're all from different, of course, our normal language for communication is English, but we come from different backgrounds, different states, different backgrounds, different ages. So when our superiors communicate to us, they communicate to us like, oh, what do you know? You know, that kind of vibe now. So, and I try to tolerate tolerance, patience, respect, because if not, you get yourself in serious trouble. They are repercussions to your actions. They are consequences to your actions. So how I navigate all of this is I do my best to be patient, to be calm, and ensure that I treat the issue at hand with utmost carefulness.
So I think you brought us back to the emphasis on respect and care, especially when it comes to transgenerational interactions. I think that's wonderful. So, Dami, you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I think as Mr. Bill said when he answered this question, he talked about the fact that different generations have specific strengths and characteristics. The risk-taking energy that the younger generations bring, and then the older generations with their, I guess there's the traditionalist generation with a lot more this is rigid, yeah, straight, yeah, this is how we want to do it. Mr. Ozo, what would you say has been how would you suggest that NEPL, for instance, well, in this context, harmonize these different values and strengths in further enhancing generational inclusivity so that Mr. Abiola mentioned about NEPL becoming more open. How do we balance that so that we don't become so open that the older generation feels lost? How do you think that a company can harmonize the different generations?
I think we are already achieving that, harmonization. When she was speaking about how cultural she is, responding to things and all that, I think we experienced that, some of us, when we came. But if I can assess our organization at the moment, some of those are already gone away because the majority of the people who belong to that group, the traditionalists, are no longer in the system. If they are existing just very few in numbers somewhere. And then even among the baby boomers, we experience such rigidity, but then the system introduced open communication, technology came in, and so many things that has helped us now to galvanize all of that. So I would think that we're doing better now. Okay, I don't see where anyone will come with such intimidating attitude towards the younger professional, because we discovered that basically we all are not trained at the same time. We did not grow up in the same environment, but there is something good about every individual. So the old experienced people have something to bring to the table, so also the younger professionals. So what is important is for us all to focus on the objective of the organization, and then we'll be able to bring all of that together. So I don't need to pull down the younger person based on because I am more experienced. No, I know there's something I can learn from the younger person. And so all I need is give that respect to every individual and try to understand that there's something each person has to contribute to the group, because there's no one person that can actually deliver what the organization wants. So we need all that contribution. And so I can say we are doing better. Technology is helping us. I know a time when you talk about use of computer, there's a category of people that became apprehensive and all of that. But when the system now knows that you can't do without it, you have to help yourself, to adapt, and then you'll be able to flow along with the system. So I think we are doing better now as a company. We've been able to manage all those differences, try to get the older people to understand that you need these people also to work as a team. There's something you need to transfer to them. That's something you also need to take from them.
Nice. So thank you very much, sir. So Asabe, right, from your own time within the NEPL and within the workspace, what are the cultural changes you've actually experienced, like changes that have actually affected communications between people of different generations? So I'm giving an instance. Probably when you came in, the way you relate with your bosses then is quite different from how you relate with your bosses now. So what changed during your time?
Let me start with an experience I had. So one time I was in a project, I think with a lot of millennials were there, and then we also had the particular baby boom. And the baby boomers are those who are very loyal. They say and respect this hierarchical structure and everything. So communication was kind of like difficult. We wanted the often face-to-face meeting, as against we could do something smarter. But at the end, when I realized that it wasn't about technology or communication, it was about his perspective. And I got to be patient and to work with him, and at the end, we were able to achieve the goals we wanted. So I think it has really changed now. In the time past, you had we were when we're even brought up, the way we're brought up as a millennial, sometimes you cannot talk in front of somebody older than you. I sat years back, I also did my IT with KRPC. So I knew that you cannot go into an office or see an empty chair and just sit on it. No, you dare not do that. But with how things have changed now, you could walk up. The young people in management now, we have younger people in management that are open to communication, they are open to listening, to suggestion, and also accommodating the younger generation, because they all know that the younger generations now are good with technology and the world is advancing on technology. So there's this like reverse mentoring now where the younger generations are teaching the old ones on adapting to new technologies, while the old ones are still there sharing knowledge, the traditional mode of mentoring. So I think a lot has changed since when I came up until this time. Thank you.
Thank you. And you highlighted, similar to what Ms. also said about how technology has come in actually, not just is coming. And there's been a lot of adjustment and adaptation that has occurred across generations in that sense, especially with the older generations. And you also highlighted the importance of mentoring, as Ms. also mentioned about the older generation having more to give and the younger people having the energy and need the experience and the knowledge transfer. And Mr. Biola, how do you think that we can, with mentoring, foster or encourage even better synergy across generations?
Okay, thank you. I think if you want to go on a journey, it's better to follow someone who's been there before. And that's been my own experience career-wise. I mean, I've had the privilege of working with a lot of very great leaders, in the past, since I joined this organization. Of course, different generation, people who could give birth to me. I had a boss who used to call me my son, my son, my son. And at the time I used to get irritated, like, I'm not your son, but thinking about it, he had a child who was, probably my own age and all that. But the most important thing is that if you just follow them and pick those really, really important lessons, you will be able to add it to what you have and then have great, great results. And mentoring is critical. Like I said, if you take people who are probably in their 50s or 55 and thereabout, and one of the things, and she mentioned it, is that they're very stickler for rules, regulations. They try to stay within procedures. That they believe in loyalty to the organization and timeliness, and all that, which are great attributes. When you come to people within my space, they want more freedom. You don't want to do the traditional work of 9 to 5. You can work from anywhere. And then the new guys don't even want to show up. They just want to work and just have every team together. But more importantly is that we're in a very, very technologically advanced industry where a lot of the knowledge that you need to excel is deep, and not just the knowledge in terms of technical, in terms of relationship, networking, and those are soft skills that you don't find or pick on the road. Or how do you even engage and manage for success? That's also another very key issue. So for me, it's to find that fine blend of the old, the young, and the upcoming to be able to work together. But mentoring happens all the way. For the guys who I work with, who might be a bit younger than I am, and a bit some people older, I try to always look out for what I can learn from them in terms of technology savviness and all this. But it's beyond even technology. It's even how you disseminate or absorb information. It's also another way that things can as metamorphosized, and being able to show that path is very, very important. But one thing I would need to mention is that work, as in getting things done, is extremely, extremely important. And that part is one that you can't do without having somebody to handhold you or show you what are the loopholes. It's not something you learn in school. It's not something you read if you read all the books in the world, until you get into the ring, you don't know what you're fighting against. So again, that is the value of mentoring, so that you understand the ramification, you have a broader perspective towards things. And I believe that if you can have a blend of the different generations, that can be a great source of strength. And therefore, for NEPL, I mean, from where I see, I think that is already happening. I think we should deepen it in terms of being able to pass that baton along, and then hopefully we're going to see a final blend of different things. The old is not bad. It's how you make use of it.
Yeah. Thank you.
I think
Thanks for that.
I think the punchline there is the old is not bad. It's how you make use of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Rama, like Mr. Abiola just said, the old is not bad. It's how you make use of it.
Yes.
And so within your work experience here in NEPL, have you been able to maximize the use of the old, especially when it comes to the context of mentoring?
Yes.
Have you been? So just give us probably an experience where you've been handheld through an entire process.
Yes.
So probably maybe when you have contracting tax and all that. So is there scenarios whereby someone has to tell you that, okay, this is how it has to be and this is how you want to follow tit for tit, and these are the processes from here, step 1 to step 2, step by step?
Yes, on various occasions actually. So when I came newly, I worked with Miss Jemima in admin. So she was, when I came that day, she was like, "Wow, you're such a pretty girl. How are you? Where are you from?" And she was very friendly and I felt really welcome. And then she was like, "Okay, this is how this is done. Okay, so if people want keys for the conference room, you do this, you do this, you do this, step by step by step." She was very friendly. And also, there was a situation whereby it was an outdoor event, and so me and Mr. Henry, Mr. Henry and another of my colleague, we had to go outside and inspect things. And so there he got to explain to me, okay, how are things done? And I, on the other hand, I'm a very curious one, and I kept on asking more and more questions. It almost seemed annoying.
Okay.
But yes.
Yeah.
You don't need to get complacent with the system. When you meet a bottleneck, you don't stop. You need to think, be innovative. See, is there any way you can improve what is existing, or a new idea you can bring to the business that will add value?
And then the organization is also adopting it. So one thing I would say is that as we have different generations in the workplace, there is no one person, either you're young or you're old, and I don't like to use those words anyway. It's about the value that you bring. It depends on the generation you belong to, is that whatever it is that you think that needs to be done and you believe can be done, and even if the system is not ready for it, you can begin to mature it. And I can tell you, every system will eventually adapt, and every generation will have to key into it, because the value is what is important. But being teachable is a key strength that all of us, irrespective of generation, whether you are baby boomer, millennial, Gen Z, or Gen whatever is going to come before, you must be open to learning and being teachable.
The end of our first episode of the Energy Talks podcast by SP Benin-City section.
Section 116. And like I said, this is the first of many, so stay tuned. You'll be getting informed and getting educated from our subsequent episodes. So thank you very much. And
Thank you.
See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.